Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are and wherever you're watching from. My name is Matt Pierce, host of Visual Lounge, and this is episode number 250. And I am grateful for each of you tuning in and listening. Grateful that you've been on this journey with me, learning along the way. Hopefully you've got some great stuff from our many guests, but I want to thank so many. I can't thank them all, but I'm grateful for each and every one of their contributions. And it doesn't stop. We're going to keep rolling forward. And as a 250th episode, I thought it'd be really great to reach out to some folks that I know. Some of them are really good friends of mine. And I got to ask them a question. It said, hey, what's your one take that you would want to give? And so we've got some great guests. This is part one of part two. So grateful for each and every one of these folks. And I hope that you enjoy what they have to say.
Yeah, what's helped me the most in my career has been just there's always something new to learn. And that is, no matter how many times I've been teaching or how much I've taught a certain subject, like Camtasia, for example, no matter how many times I've taught Camtasia, there's always something new to learn. There's always a different way to be able to do something or editing or to be able to pick up on, oh, I can do this faster or I can do this more efficiently, or in the world of AI right now, there's something new every single day. But I think that's good if you're constantly looking at it as an approach, almost like I heard the term artisan recently, where an artisan is someone who is constantly trying to improve their craft, someone who is trying to get better at what they're doing. To me, that is the most important thing, whether you're doing video, whether you're doing media, whether you're doing e-learning developments, you're doing training or something like that. I think that's always been the most appealing thing to me, is constantly saying, okay, what can I do to be better? How can I improve my studio? How can I get this light? That's really what drives me. It's not necessarily, the business side of things. That's not really my thing. Mine's more of like, I like to have a creative outlet so I can just continuously be learning, continuously, trying new things, continuously trying to, part of how I learn is as sharing as well. So continuously sharing, that is just part of learning. So really the big idea that came to my mind was just there's always something new to learn. There's always something you can do. There's always a piece of improvements that you can improve upon. So
Joe, I have a question for you with that, because I have a feeling that's going to be true for a lot of people, that they want to learn, and it's a driver for them. When you, and maybe you're just lucky and you don't ever feel stuck. When you do feel stuck and you're trying to learn something new and it's not progressing well, what's a quick piece of advice you'd give?
keep trying. Like when I get stuck, that is when, I don't know, I look at it at a point when I'm coding something, right? And I get stuck and I don't know what to do here. And there's times where I just want to give up and just, walk away. But it, in those times, has been the most fruitful, or it's been the most exciting, because and when I keep trying new things and I keep going back and like, what if I did this? What if I did that? What if I had, there was recently I was building an app and I just said, okay, I'm just going to start from scratch. And when I started from scratch and I kind of moved away from that original idea that I was stuck in, the app that I was building actually turned out to be a whole lot better than the one I was trying to do at the time. And this was using an AI tool called Lovable. And I really wanted to build like this project management app. And I was just getting stuck. Like it just wasn't allowing me to drag and drop the tasks in different orders. And I tried everything. Different prompts that I could do, just was not working. And it wasn't until I took a step back and I'm like, okay, let's start this differently, that now the app itself has become a lot better than what it used to be before. So I don't know. It's kind of like that aha moment when you get that and you're pushing through and you're like, okay, what if I did this? What if I did that? That's really where those aha moments come in. And that's, to me, what makes it really exciting.
So one of the biggest things I've found over my career that has spanned a long time, right? That have gone all the way back to being a graphic designer for the Yellow Pages, working all the way up to working with immersive technology and the latest technologies, is that embracing new technology really kind of helps us to refine all of the different sort of things that we've tried to do all along for learning and development. So it helps us with our process. It helps us with working with SMEs. It helps us, makes it easier to connect with them. Helps us to really kind of filter down those really broad, generalized learning objectives that we get a lot of times, right? It's like, oh, we need training on such and such. All right, well, that's great. How do we make it, smarter? All the different things that we've done over time with our learning, with the opportunities to really kind of nail that knowledge transfer and to get it over there. But how can we use things like, AI, right? Chat GPT to help us outline all the things we need, organize even more for working with our SMEs or working with our content creators, helping me to create storyboards for when I work with video, right? That was the biggest thing. Just a week and a half ago or so, I got thrown in because the normal video guru at one of the things I'm doing, she had to be gone, and they're like, hey, can you take over? I was like, sure. What do you got? She had an outline. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna need a storyboard, and I've got like, I don't know, a hot minute to get this all done and turned around, right? So I threw it in to ChatGPT, and I was like, hey, I just need you to kind of summarize this, give me some general ideas of sort of a storyboard on how you would do it. They wanted to do kind of this fun, 90s pop-up video sort of thing going on. And I was like, all right, I'm pretty sure Camtasia does that. There's a way I could do it super easy. I used ChatGPT to help me understand a little bit more about the functionality too, right, within the tool. So it gave me some ideas, gave me some thoughts. And with one of the latest updates, I even had it actually sketch out some images for me and drop them in. I threw those into a PowerPoint, got it in front of the stakeholders, and within, I don't know, an hour, we had a storyboard, we had a plan, and I was off and editing the video there. So I think that with all of these new technologies, all the different things that are happening and all the different releases of all this stuff, once we get over that initial, how do I use it? And we start really getting into, well, what do I do every day? And how can it help me do that? Save time, save cycles, save energy, right? Resources, money. Clients love it when you save money, right? So anytime you can do those types of things, it's great. And then I think also embracing all the different types of technology that are coming out. So maybe we only had, right? What's the old adage? If we only have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, if all we have is, an e-learning development tool, everything just starts to look, everything is just e-learning. I can do it in e-learning, or vice versa, with whatever tool you have. But I think that when we start embracing some of these new technologies, like what's a wearable technology that we could use? Does it fit this use case, right? What are these other options that we have? It doesn't all have to be this one thing when we're doing stuff. So then we can start to create these kind of something we've been talking about a lot in the industry just over the last, 10 years, 15 years, maybe forever, is blended learning. How do we make it so that it's interesting, it's effective, it's engaging, and it meets all of those, meets the needs of our learners. We meet them where they're at. It could be a video, could be just an infographic, could be, just an email, or it could be an immersive solution where you get in and you have to get hands-on and get, assembling the widget, or get practice in a very dangerous situation. There's all kinds of these new technologies that just give us so many more paths that we can do stuff with.
Well, I love that advice. And Destery, I want to ask a question, because I think there is a lot of hesitation, right? It comes to like new technologies. People are afraid of, for lots of reasons. And maybe it's not even fear. There's lots of hesitations to jumping into something new. To wrap things up, what's one thing you'd say, like, to help someone get through the barrier to actually try something?
Gosh, you know what? Find a problem that you're trying to solve, and then look up new technologies that can help solve that. And then use that on like a free trial of a program or a new approach, something like that. I was just talking with somebody the other day at ATD in Washington, and they're like, gosh, do you ever get free trials of stuff? And I go, I only get trials of new like tools or technologies and stuff when I have a problem that I need to solve, and I think I could try it out with that, right? I kind of explore it that way, because otherwise I'll be like, oh, I'll get this and try it on something, and then I don't have anything to make up, right, to do it. So find a purpose for this new technology or this new process or new thing that you're doing, and use it to explore some of those new technologies.
I didn't think we'd ever be here, that I'd ever be here, but it is officially the case that the morning when I turn on my computer, the very first window and app that I open is in fact ChatGPT. I'm so bummed, but I'm also really excited because here's the thing. It's really helped me have that writing partner that I think I didn't even realize I always wanted. And now I just hang out and talk with it. And I've transformed the way I communicate using stories and then also adding in imagery and video to go along with those stories. So it turns out ChatGPT and I have a long history of figuring each other out. But really, what it does is it boosts my creativity and it actually frees me from feeling like, oh, I probably don't know how to say that. I just go, I don't know how to say this. Help me say this. And then I figure out how to say it. And then we go through round and round and we make it. And actually, it's just transformed the way I work. And I'm really excited about it. And I got to tell you, it surprises me that I like it as much as I do. And it's been opening up doors to me that help me feel like I can focus on the creative stuff, which is leaning into making more video messages and having more fun and creative moments with imagery that I even bring into that stuff. So I'm really excited. I'm probably on the positive side of where we're headed with all this new tech.
So, Kassy, can I ask a real quick question then? Because it surprises me to hear you say that. You were not one I would expect to hear that from. And so I'm curious, you said something at the end there that about it's opened up opportunities to be more creative. Do you find that it allows you to have more, is it giving you more time? Is it just the fact that it's making your work better? Where would you kind of classify, what is it really like, or honing in, we have to say it's doing, really focusing one thing for you? What is that thing?
I don't identify as a writer. I identify as a talker, as a speaker. I've always felt, I have a degree in talking. I've always felt like my writing isn't as strong as my ability to communicate it to a live audience. It's a feeling that I've had. And so what's happened is ChatGPT has become my partner in helping me figure out, I have the ideas and I know how I can say them, and I don't need to be blocked by, this is how you're supposed to write it. It helps me get past that.
Yeah. Well, I love that idea, Kassy, and I'm there with you though. It's definitely become a thinking partner and helping me, because it asks me really good questions that I wouldn't have thought of on my own, and then I have to answer those questions to get to clarity.
Yeah, and I find like sometimes I'm like, I'll end on the word at or of. Like, this was the best conference that I've ever presented at. And that's not the way that you write that. And honestly, it's not even the way that I would have verbally spoken it. And so I put it in there. I'm like, how am I supposed to write this in a way that sounds more, grammatically correct, which I actually really like grammatically correct. And then it writes it and I go, oh, of course, that's the way that I would have said it. And then I look at it and rewrite. It's very amazing, just very helpful. It helps me get past what I think is really just a mindset, because it's not like I'm not capable of it. But I think in my head, I get all jumbled. And so it helps provide clarity and just also like a consistent partner that's there to say, no, you got this, girl.
You got this. You got this. It's all good. Well, thanks, Kassy. I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing with us your tip.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So feedback is something that we've always struggled with when we first started designing and building learning applications. So one of the things that's really exciting to me is that it's so much easier today to get feedback. In the old days, we weren't able to talk to our audience or our learners. We always had to wait for that survey that came from the LMS, and you would see it or you wouldn't see it. We might conduct focus groups. We might reach out to an expert, but we had to wait for a response and or give a bunch of information and then wait to get the right person. And then we find out that's not the right person and so on. So we're all like, one of our big challenges was, how do we fix that? So today, there's so many cool things that we do is when we first kick off a project, we ask to talk to the audience. And the more people that we can gain access to, that really helps us to do our job better because we're able to understand the actual challenges that exist and to test different ideas. So through the entire design process, we'll go back to the audience members to test an idea or to get some feedback on a concept or to better understand their challenges and or their motivation and why this new learning thing will help them. Some of the really cool tools and technologies that we've used over the last couple years, Miro.com is one of my favorite because it allows us to work with a team or an audience member to quickly just have them jump into a virtual space. They can see things, they can add comments, they can add information, whether it's a picture or a graphic. And what I love about Miro is that they can just drag and drop or hit upload. It really reduces the barrier to make it easier for them to share their actual input. The other thing that we've been doing a lot of is that sometimes we're not able to demonstrate or talk or share a concept in that feedback loop. So we'll use a tool like Camtasia to record a quick video so that we make sure that if they're viewing it after a meeting or after a session, that they can actually hear our vision or our thoughts or why we did this and what we're looking from them. And it's so much better, the feedback that we get, rather than sending a long email or doing telephone tag, because they can hear our passion or our ideas and then give us the right information back.
Can I ask a quick follow-up question to all of this? Because and we can talk more tools, and I do want to hear more what you've got. I'm curious because I feel like the barrier for folks is sometimes getting to the audience. Like the tools are great. Like that's like you've got the buy-in from the organization. Is there a piece of advice you'd give learning development professionals about like getting that buy-in that you think is like, hey, here's something that really sells that to the organization that then allows you to use Miro, a video tool, things like that?
I think to get the buy-in for them to allow us to use the tool or to access the learners is that if we do this, we can save time, we can save money, because we know that what we're going to launch in a week, a month, a year from now is going to succeed because it's built with the actual user's feedback in mind. And I think that's the best thing that you can communicate back to your team or your organization, is that this is really going to improve our process. And if you look at any company, whether it's Apple, a car manufacturer, a new product development, they're doing this every day to make sure that they're connecting with the audience and that, they're building around those actual needs versus what I think they might need, which sometimes you could be right. But I think by involving them, your chances of success are much higher.
Yeah. Okay. That makes so much sense. And everyone loves the idea of saving money, saving time, things like that.
Yes.
So, all right. Well,
yeah.
Any other tools or things that you find super helpful, Nick, for that feedback?
The other thing in the last year, I've been so impressed with what's happening with the AI integrations with the tools. So we all know about ChatGPT and Cloud and Gemini, but today we're seeing those tools start to sprinkle into our everyday tools, whether it's a tool like Articulate, which now has the ability to translate content into other languages without going somewhere. One of my favorite things, though, for feedback is that I can ask AI through Miro or through a tool like ChatGPT, what would a 10-year-old think of this particular learning experience? And it will give me feedback as a 10-year-old. If I were to grab, a class of fifth graders across the US or around the world, what would they say, or how may they react to a particular screen or thought? So what's great is that you can upload a graphic now. Doesn't have to be a PDF or anything crazy. Just do a quick screen grab using Snagit, and then you're able to drop that in, and it will give you instant ideas. We've done, like I push my team to use it as a design feedback tool. And what I love is that it just gets better and better. So it'll give you some things that are looking good, or things that are challenges. And it's a little scary at first because it really will rip apart or give you credit where, everything is tight and the hierarchy is there and the balance is there. But it's a great way to also build confidence in your team's abilities or your abilities to, present a concept or present an idea. So that is super useful. You can also say, as a parent, as an engineer, as a team leader or a product manager, what would you say about this or this concept or this visual? And again, it's just endless ways to pull in feedback and to start to think about those challenges rather than waiting a week for notes or other thoughts. So you can also then present to your stakeholder, hey, here's some of the things that we believe they will say and some of the ways that we've solved for that. So I think, especially when you have newer team members, this will help their quality of what they're doing escalate limitlessly. Is that a word?
No, I love that advice, and I love like getting those different perspectives and asking AI to help with that, because obviously I don't have access to classes of fifth graders, but I can imagine that simplicity that they're going to look at it from differently compared to an expert is also really, really valuable. So I love that advice.
Yeah, it really helps. In the old days, we do focus groups, but it cost money, it took time, and now we're able to virtually create those using AI. And it just gets better and better. So if you do it today, try it in a month from now, a year from now, and just see how it gives you better feedback.
So one of the best hot tips I have around creating content is always be mindful of what else could I do with this? So whenever I'm creating something, whether it's a podcast, a video, even if it's just like a job aid of some sort, I'm always thinking to myself, how else could we deliver this? Like, how else could I take this, piece it out, and give it to somebody else to use? So for example, one of my favorite things to do whenever I create a video or do a podcast as a video is to then take that and turn it into multiple things. Like, for instance, I could use my friend ChatGPT to help me turn it into an interesting article or blog, or even just a longer post for LinkedIn. I could also use the AI that's in riverside.fm to help me turn it into small videos or vignettes, not just to market the podcast, but to also just drive home like one specific point, so that I make sure that everybody that sees that can actually get that point, even if they don't listen to the whole podcast. There's also other ways that you can use any content that you create in a multitude of different ways. Maybe you have a newsletter and you could use it to inform that. Maybe you could take a little snippet and send it to your friend Matt and be like, you should listen to this because this is all about you. Not that I've ever done that, not one time. But yeah, so my biggest tip is definitely always be thinking, what else could I do with this particular piece of content? Because the different types of modalities that you could use to deliver it is always more than one. It's often up to 10. I mean, wouldn't it be great? Somebody I knew one time said to me, why create one video when you could create 10?
Right.
That was you.
Well, I want to ask a question, Betty, because I personally am a fan of this idea. And I think it's also very aligned with the world of marketing, right? Like, because marketers are often thinking that way. Instructional design, maybe not so much. When are you typically doing the thought that goes into about that? Because here's the thing I find is if I create a piece of content, it sometimes is harder to make into multiple pieces of content because I didn't think about it. I just I made this thing. Then it falls flat. So when are you doing the thinking about that typically?
That's a great question. And the answer is sometimes I think about it as I'm building it, and that changes the way that I build it. Sometimes it's an afterthought, just like you just described. And I'm like, oh, I wish I would have thought about that ahead of time. But that doesn't mean that I still can't do it. It just might be more piecemeal. So there's a little bit more effort into grabbing a piece from this part, and putting it all together. If I think about it ahead of time, which is what I try to do, I'll organize it in a way that it's in chunks already so that it's easier to sort of disseminate.
All right, that's it for this episode. We'll be back with another episode. We got some more people lined up to share their thoughts, and then we'll get back into creating normal episodes or other episodes. If you got ideas, thoughts, look, this is a great time to reflect, to think about what should the Visual Lounge continue to be? What could it be? What would you like to hear about? What would you like to learn about? Who would you like to see on and hear about from? Let me know. You can email us at thevisuallounge@techsmith.com. We've got our LinkedIn page going. If you want to follow us along there, there's some great stuff. And if you got questions or things you want to know, reach out. I'm also easily available and would love to hear from you and love to learn what we can do to make this even more valuable of a resource for you. So with that said, I've said it about 250 times or more. We hope you take a little time to level up every single day.